Q&A, you all will be able to kind of understand kind of like my expertise and be able to kind of double up and ask some very specific questions. But I want to make this an open forum. I believe that, you know, one question specifically related to business or marketing can highlight something in someone else's business. So feel free to ask any questions that you all may have regarding your business as far as marketing. But just to kind of give you all some I guess, groundwork as far as the social media landscape and what I mean by how it's changing small businesses as we know it. I'm sure many of you are probably on social media or leveraging social media for your business. If not, you should be. And a lot of people say, well, you know, social media doesn't work for my business. I have a very niche market, or, you know, what I do is very specific to a very small subgroup of people. And I want to kind of burst that bubble for everybody. That's just not the case anymore. AI has changed a lot of things. Software is being updated at a faster pace. TikTok changed a lot of things. I'm sure a lot of you all know. Instagram has become more of a marketplace, similar to what Amazon is right now. Instagram and a lot of social networks are becoming a marketplace for businesses. And if you haven't explored that, I'm sure you all can go into a conversation. I always tell everybody like that's kind of still new to this. I may be repeating things you already know, but I'll be remiss if I didn't, because there may be one person that just doesn't know. Go on the phone and like talk about a product that you have no interest in, like absolutely no interest in. Just talk about it and scroll your social media, and I guarantee you there's going to be several ads for that specific product targeting you. That technology has been out for years. We're just now kind of just accepting it, that it's a reality. With AI being added to all of these backends, it's even more prevalent now. So it's one of those situations where if you are a business owner or you have a product or service that you want to attract customers, you want to go where they are. And that's social media. Right now, that's just the landscape. Now, I can go into many different topics, many different strategies as it relates to your specific business. I can talk about conversions. I can talk about design. I can talk about concepts. I can talk about idea formation. I can talk about so many different things. But I really want to kind of hear what you all would want to know about, because it's more important to kind of answer your specific question. And like I said, one question asked could really help someone else in the group. So feel free to just Q&A, because I just want to provide as much value as I can with the time that I have.
Right off the top, I want to, because they're not going to be able to jump in. So if you have a question specifically for Eric, just drop it in the chat and we'll make sure it gets asked and answered. But the question I had, because I've known you for a minute now, through Angelica and Nelia Zone. But when we first connected, you had a very interesting concept about called pro fights.
Yes.
So just for the benefit of everybody else on the call, can you kind of touch on what that product is, what that brand is, and how it came to be?
Yes. So profights.com was my attempt. I would say I launched it in 2012. It was just a .com. That's before kind of apps became popular. And it was my attempt to kind of duplicate what other D9 members have attempted, and to try to unify all D9 members on a central hub that we can control for the purpose of networking and growing and having access. Initially, it was because I was traveling a lot at the time and I wanted access to my fraternity brothers. So I wanted to build a platform that I would use, because I was that guy that kind of just wore my letters at the airport and would hope someone would stop me. And every time, it never failed. Every time somebody would stop me and say, "What's up, Frat?" And then I had a connection in the city, and it always worked out great for me. So I was like, you know what? I think everybody should experience this. So I wanted to build just, the tech aspect of it so that we all can just connect and network. So it morphed and evolved to an app. And throughout the years, it's evolved. Oh my gosh. I mean, I've pivoted and iterated so many different times, because one thing about business, of course, is there's two types of business formations. There's the business where you're solving a very specific problem for a very specific group of people that already identify that they have that problem, and then you're the solution for it. And then there's the business where you have this idea that everybody's like, oh my, like, you're like, this is my dream, this is my desire, this is going to be an amazing product, but you're not necessarily solving a problem. You're just kind of assuming that the problem you're solving is going to help. So you're going through the process of creating that business, and you're hoping that what you're creating is going to actually create some legs. There are two different business models, and a lot of business owners kind of get these confused. I got it confused in the beginning a lot. And what I learned is Profites was that. Profites was a business model that I wasn't really solving a problem that we had in D9, because we all say, you know, everybody that's a member know that, you know, you're 3 people away from everybody in your organization, right? So if you were able to just pick up the phone, call somebody, then you can have access to somebody. I was trying to leverage technology to make that easier. So I wasn't really solving a problem. I was introducing a solution that I was hoping people would adopt. And interestingly, every time we launched, we would get a surge of new users, because Greeks are very interested and very curious about any new product. They're like, what is this? What is going on here? And I got a lot of users, and every time, because I'm not a technical founder, my product would crash. OMG, it would crash. It was, I had one of those situations where my problem was I was good at marketing. So that's, I did a business audit, and the guy was like, Eric, you need to stop marketing this app, like completely stop, because your weak point is the tech, is the software. You need to get that down pat before you do. Every time you market, people join, people get excited, and they want to be a part of it. But then because you have such a surge on the server, it crashes, and your tech is not good. So then I took some time off to really understand that part. And I did some customer discovery, and I really understood how to communicate to my developers as a non-technical founder. And now, I mean, I'm proud to say that it's working now. It's great. But over the years, I've noticed a shift in D9. I noticed that there's a big concentration of D9 members online, especially the neos. Like I'm sure you all are seeing it in the business. Like the members are changing. And I remember when I came in, the older members, because I got mentored by a lot of older members, they would tell me, oh, it's different than my day. Back in my day, it was different. Y'all doing different stuff. And I remember feeling ostracized, because I was like, well, I'm just doing what I know I do based off of my generation. Now here I am, about to be 40, and I'm looking at this new generation of D9, and I'm like, oh man, they're different. Like we would never get away with that. Now, mind you, telephone has changed a lot, because everybody has phones, everybody's recording. So that changes the landscape of a lot of things. It affects their mental health even more, which is a whole nother topic that we should really discuss in D9, is the mental health aspect that these organizations have on the members. But as Profites, what we've morphed into now is, it is our duty, it is our obligation to be a Profite to the neos. It is our pledge that we made when we joined these organizations to be a brother, to be a sister to all the members and all the upcoming and new members that are joining our organization. So Profites now wants to be that platform that allows members to be a Profite to the next generation and to all existing members. So right now we're kind of doing a big D9 vote initiative. It's already launched, but we're kind of adding some features to make it easier for people to vote and communicate and find polls in their specific state. So when you download the app, there's like this chat called D9 Vote, and based off the state that you're in, you get entered into a live group chat of all the members in that state. And then there's a registration instruction where it teaches you how to register, when the deadline is, and then there's the link that takes you directly to the state registration, so you can directly enroll and get registered to vote. And then there's a area where you can actually input voting locations within that specific state, and you can identify it by county, city, whatever. But the point was to make it easy and accessible for all members to be able to vote. So we're kind of becoming more of a philanthropic initiative. I'm noticing Profile shifting into that gear. So yeah, that's kind of the story and the landscape of where Profites was, what the goal is, and what we're currently doing now.
Hey, so I love it. So that's when you turn What's Up Frat into community impact. See, I see what you actually
I like
did.
that.
Okay, love it. Mark Wiggins is like, and I'm quoting him, that does work, yo. I don't know what yo means, but yeah, so that so he's a I don't know if you know Mark, he's a cool brother, Kappa member, out hanging out on that East Coast, man. But he offered a lot of knowledge about his experience in working these different conferences and events. And you have a question in the Q&A already, Eric. And one question is, will there be opportunities for, well, actually, Eric, the first question was, is it important to master Google Analytics as an online business owner?
The short answer to that is yes, because you want to know your numbers. You always want to understand how your analytics present the story. To be the master of it, no, because that's not your expertise, right? One thing that I've learned is, though I've learned many different verticals in business, because as a business owner of multiple businesses, I wanted to understand all of the nuances of being a successful business owner, right? So I kind of dove myself into understanding everything. And then I realized kind of later on that, wait a minute, I don't have the time to be the expert in accounting. I don't have the time to be the expert in a virtual assistant. I don't have the time to be the expert in these things. I am good at what I do, and I need to find other people that can support and help me grow. So I always say, what I've done is once I've been able to identify what I need to really take my business to the next level, then I find the expert that knows how to do it. And then I get them on board with my team, and I pretty much pitch them on my business and say, hey, I think you should join my company because I think this will be a good opportunity. What's your rate? And then we just negotiate from there. So if you don't have any marketing experience, while you should understand Google Analytics, understand what your bounce rates are, understand what impressions and what your conversion rates are, all those different things matter to the campaign that you're doing. So I guess for all the analytics people that are utilizing Google Analytics, and if you're not utilizing Google Analytics, it's free. Utilize Google Analytics. If you have a WordPress site, if you have a Wix, Shopify, they all kind of have integrations in there already. Go ahead and integrate it. It's worth it. What you want to measure with Google Analytics, just to kind of just give you a high level overview, is you want to look at the users that come into your site. So the amount of visitors, right? And then you want to do it based off specific pages. So it gives you the top 10 pages of where people are landing on your homepage, your product, your about, whatever your top 10 pages are. Then you want to look at your bounce rate. That's the most important thing when it comes to Google Analytics from an initial standpoint, is what is the bounce rate? The bounce rate is essentially how long people are staying on my site. If your bounce rate is high, that means they're not staying on that site, which means you need so the person that you're advertising to, especially if you're spending Google AdWords dollars, when you send somebody to a specific landing page or a specific page, you want to analyze, I sent 100 people to this page. The average person stayed on this page for a minute, and my bounce rate was at 70%. Okay, so that means there's a lot of people that are coming to my site that is not getting what they anticipated they were going to get. Now, when your bounce rates are low, that means what you advertise in order for them to click on your site is exactly what they got when they saw your site. Like, oh, this is exactly what I was looking for. So therefore, you're going to see that the time on the site is going to be a lot longer and your bounce rates are going to be lower, which gives your site more authority on Google, and that will kind of help with your SEO rankings as well.
Hey, great information. We're going to be talking about some of those tools and modules with respect to web design and business CRMs a little bit later in the program. But before we get to that, you got another question, Eric. Will there be opportunities for business owners to advertise or sponsor some events on some of your platforms, as in Profites or some of the other platforms that you have?
Yes, most definitely. We're actually building a vendor D9 business marketplace, and anyone that's a part of Nail Your Zone is going to automatically have a free account where you can kind of post your store there, as long as you're a member of the Divine Nine. Because the app is kind of specific to D9 members. You have to get verified. Once you get verified, then you kind of open the access. Like everything is no cost once you're a D9 member and you're verified. So yes.
Hashtag legit. I love it. Love it. Hey, so hey, feel free if you got any other questions for Eric, go ahead and drop those in that Q&A. What's the best way to get in touch with you if anybody wanted to reach out? And I love that you mentioned how you knew what your strengths were and what you were good at. And a lot of us make assumptions when we first start out with with our different business adventures. I knew I was really good on the technical side, but I didn't understand the marketing capabilities, right? And or even what marketing was. It's ironic because while I was one of those nerds on the other side of campus in a computer lab, the first course you should take on any college campus is marketing, because that's the number one skill you're going to need to do. You're going to have to market yourself to a potential employer or a potential customer base if you're trying to be an entrepreneur. And there's some science behind it a little bit. There's some discovery. There's a lot of stuff that you don't know if you're only spend time in certain lanes. And I think the most important thing you hit on also is knowing when to pivot, not necessarily changing your whole business model, but pivoting from one approach, right? Hey, I'm going to do it all. I got the tech, I got my app, I got this, I got that. And then you realize, I don't know anything about that. So I'm going to engage other people who do. That is what smart entrepreneurs do. That's the difference between that hustler mindset, I can do it all, right? Or that more strategic approach was saying, I know I'm going to need this, I'm going to need this, I'm going to need this, right? And for some of us, it's just, I need a circle. I mean, I heard Les Brown mention once, if you're the smartest rock in your circle, you need a new circle. Yeah. And that's what a lot of us do. Or we have the same people that we share ideas and thoughts with that aren't even entrepreneurs. They're just people that we've been knowing, or people we went to college with, frats that they're fine doing what they do. But I want to partner with the Mark Wiggins, with the Eric Ushers, with the Monica Taylors. I want to partner with these people and share and have thought conversations, right? One of our podcast thought sessions, that's all we did. And I'd even like to have just an open board meeting with other entrepreneurs on a weekly basis. Hey, what are you doing? There's no agenda. Just, hey, what are you doing? What's a challenge you had and how did you deal with it? Or what are you trying to figure out? Let's chop it up. Let's put this on the 6 o'clock news instead of the other crap that they keep feeding us.
Yeah, no, what you're saying is gold, because it's, the thing is this, it's unfortunate and we hear it all the time, but we just weren't taught. Our community we weren't taught that you should have business conversations on a regular basis. Like, I mean, all my friends now are conditioned to know that if you ask Eric to go out, or if you're like, hey, let's go out and get some drinks, or let's go out here, like 80% of the conversation is going to be about business. I'm going to ask you about what's going on. You know, how are you growing? What are you doing differently in your business? Because when you're in my close circle, especially if you're an entrepreneur, you should be kind of obsessed with your business. Now, once you get to that point where you're scaling and where you're growing, then now you should be pouring back in. And I've kind of always been in that seat of how can I provide value? How can I provide value? Because I'm just aware that everybody is not as neurotic as I am when it comes to business. I would say this kind of just like some tips that helped me out a lot is I had to learn when I had to fire myself. One of the biggest things that, like, I have a coach that talks about this all the time. And one of the biggest things that really changed my trajectory in business was when I realized that I was my worst assistant. Because as a business owner, when we're starting a business, like Eric said, we do everything. We're We do everything. You check off the box, you do everything. So my challenge to everybody is write a list of everything that you do for your business, to the smallest thing as replying to emails, replying to customers, packaging, shipping. Like write a complete list of everything that you individually do. And then I want you to put your name by the things that you are the actual master of, meaning like definitively you are the best at this thing. When you make this huge list of things and you realize that, holy crap, I'm really good at probably 30% of these, I've had to learn the rest of them, you're hurting your business because you're not hiring somebody to offload that task from you. So you're doing a lot of the administrative stuff, and it's hurting you because you're not able to do a lot of the income generating activity. And at the end of the day, one of the biggest mistakes we make in business is, well, I don't have enough money to hire support in order to get this thing done. You can't afford not to hire support because you're now paying yourself. So when we say we don't have enough money to hire somebody to do the things that we're doing, that's a lie, because you're actually paying yourself in time, sweat equity, and multitasking, which we have proven to be a lie. It's not possible. You're just task switching, and you should really fire yourself. So when you make that list, look at all the things that you should fire yourself from, and then start to identify, who can I hire to take this off my plate? And by doing so, what can I focus on that can bring me the most income? Because at the end of the day, we're in business to make money. We are in America. We are in a capitalistic structure. We are here to make money. While we have altruism involved in our businesses, it's all about the money. So when we understand that money is the motivation, we have to kind of re-engineer how we operate in our business to make sure that money is still the primary focus. Because when you make the money, then you can hire the people, and then you can buy yourself time. So one of the best books I just recently read is Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. He talks about how you should buy back your time as a business owner, and you're making the mistake in your business if you're still doing things that you can hire somebody at $5, $10 an hour to do, when you're paying yourself $20 an hour from your business to do it. So that was just kind of one of the most recent tips that I've been sharing with everybody that I think would be very helpful for business owners.
Hey Eric, if you said what I said was gold, what you're saying is platinum, because drop a thumbs up in the chat if you ever heard of a school called Jackson State University. Again, I thought I did everything. I had the video production going. I filmed shows all over the country, but I could never get permission to film a show at Jackson State University. At some point, I hired a virtual assistant, and within 24 hours, I got a call from Jackson State University saying, hey, we heard from your associate, and we want to know if you want to be a vendor at our show. I'm like, wait, what? It was $20 an hour. And I was like, when that person retired, I literally cried. I was like, oh no. But that Jackson State show opened up so many other doors for so many other camps, because you can't do it all. I can't be behind the camera interviewing the teams, marketing for the next show, fulfilling, and it is amazing. So imagine if everybody on this call had one specialty. If we had a list of 20 things, or let's say 10 things that every business needs, no matter what market you're in. And if everybody on this call was a master at one of those 10 things, everybody on this call should have over 10 different clients at the end of this day, right? I'm just saying. And we would all grow together, but I think a lot of times, if you ever try to play football and you're the only one on your team, it does not work. It does not work. So, and I love that you have that book reference in hand, because that's another thing that we need to do more of, is try to find material to support the lessons that we receive. So I definitely wrote the book down. Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. I'm going to Amazon and make sure I check it out, because I want good stuff on my shelf, and I want it, actually be able to consume it. So what's up, Angelica?
Yes. Tell us about Just Ask Eva. I would like to know more
Oh,
about
just ask Ava.
Yeah.
So thank you for asking. So just ask Ava was the business model that I created to help other executives and business owners because I've been leveraging virtual assistants. I mean, like Eric said, like virtual assistants are invaluable to business owners. And I've been leveraging virtual assistants since FiVerr was first launched. And it was years ago. I don't know when, 2012 or something like that, 2009. And I understood the value of virtual assistants because I was able to hire somebody overseas with the same expertise as somebody that would be in the United States, but because their cost of living is much lower, I was able to get it at a discount. So I was able to kind of grow and scale my businesses, and all my other business friends would be like, Eric, like, how are you doing all this? And you're still going on vacations, you're still doing this, you're still able to meet up with us. Like what's going on? Like, how are you in multiple places at the same time? I was like, well, I have virtual assistants. I was like, you guys don't know about this? So I have this problem where, well, it's not a problem. I assume people know the things I know because it's just so widely available to everybody that I just assume everybody else knows it. I had to learn that no, people don't know. And so then after so many friends kept asking me, then I started giving virtual assistants to some of them, seeing how it worked in their business. And then I noticed that they were kind of like failing at it. Like, Eric, I got the virtual assistant, but it didn't work, bro. What's going on? Like, I'm not, it's not working for me. It just didn't work out the way I expected. So then kind of talking to their VAs and then talking to them, I realized that, oh, wow. So you have to actually know how to hire a virtual assistant. You have to know how to train a virtual assistant. You have to know how to delegate to a virtual assistant, and you have to know how to leverage a virtual assistant. So then I said, you know what? This is the business model, because then I found a problem that people were having. So then I created a business model based off the existing problem people were having. So Just Ask Ava is a virtual assistant staffing agency. We essentially recruit, train, manage executive assistants for executives. And it's a very affordable rate. It's pretty much based off of kind of what your needs are. We assess what you're looking for. We assess what you need in your business. And then we try to find a VA that's already trained in the software that you're using, that already has experience with your business model. And then we train them up based off of kind of like my SOPs. I have about, I think right now, 37 or 40 different SOPs that we've created for each AVA. And each AVA is required to go through these SOPs. So as they're working with you, not only do they already have the skill that you need, they get better along the way, because we're also training them up to be the amazing executive assistant that a business owner would need. So yeah, so that's essentially what Just Ask. That's how I got connected with Dan Martell. Because when I saw his book, Buy Back Your Time, I was like, this is exactly what I'm doing. So now he's my coach, and now I'm a part of his community, and everybody in his community is essentially looking for an executive assistant, and it's a win-win scenario.
Great. And we have a couple of more questions in the chat for you, Eric. One is, what are your feelings about Google Trends, and can that be a valuable tool for forecasting and purchasing? And I myself, I know I'm not really familiar with Google Trends, but
yeah, I am. So yes, okay. So the reason I'm hesitating on this is because while Google Trend has kind of been the leader in identifying trends, AI and social media has really changed that landscape tremendously, right? So understand, I'll just tell you how I use Google Trends. So Google is essentially where you used to go and search for things that you have questions on. You used to say, hey, Google, I need this. I'm looking for this. I'm trying to buy this. Now, they lost a lot of their user base to ChatGPT. So now there's a large group of people that are now going to the large language models and saying, hey, I'm looking for this product. I'm looking for this service. Can you give me the best this, and do the comparison? Because before we go to Google and we say, hey, I'm trying to find a Kamala Harris shirt. that's red, or that's pink, that's blue, right? And then Google pretty much puts up everything that you put up based off the keyword, because it's a keyword search. And then you're able to identify who you should buy it from. And you have to go on their site, look at their prices, look to see if they're still in business, all these different things that you have to do when you're searching for Google. Now with AI, you just say, hey, give me the top 3 companies that are selling this specific shirt, and provide me the price points and the shipping dates, like how long would it take for them to ship? And then AI just spits it out for you. You're like, okay, boom, let's click on that one. And then now you already have all the answer. So with Google Trends, it's pretty much aggregating all of the search queries and the search data that's done on Google to determine what are the top searches for you. Now, it's still relevant because Google is still, number 1. YouTube is number 2, but AI is changing. That's why the conversation with AI, you guys really should stay on and listen to that one, because the AI is really changing that whole landscape now, where now they're aggregating from so many other different platforms. And then the social media trends is actually probably more accurate. So TikTok has a similar feature, like the TikTok trends or something like that. That's more relevant to your market. So it really depends on kind of your target market, who your audience is. And I'll be able to kind of give you more insight if I knew exactly who your customer profile, like who they are. And I can tell you, oh, go here. But it's still relevant, but it's one of those things where it's like, if it doesn't apply to your business, then it's, it's time wasted. Because people typically use it to create marketing campaigns, to create ad copy, to figure out what's popular, so who they should target and stuff like that. But if you're kind of working ahead of your business, then you're kind of already behind. If you already identify who your ideal customer market is, what's their persona, who are they, how they look, how much income they make, what area do they specifically live in, what car they drive, like are they married, are they single, do they have kids, like really create a customer profile of who your ideal target market is. When you identify that, then you want to spend more time on targeting those people rather than popular trends, depending on your business model. So I don't know if that answered your question. But for forecasting and purchasing, you should, when you understand your target market, then you're able to really forecast better. I guess I can give you an example what would help as it relates to doing that. So like, say you understood that, say your target market are parents, right? And right now we all know what happened in Georgia, like very devastating what took place in Georgia. You would understand that is probably like, all parents are on high alert right now. All parents are very anxious. All parents have a lot of stress and sadness for what took place. So if you're trying to reach them and you have a solution to kind of help them, like, hey, this is something that you can do with your children to feel safe. This is something that, you have a product that helps them in some regards as it relates to making them feel better about, letting your child go to school, or whatever the product is, then you would understand that, okay, I need to figure out who these people are and where they are and how I can target them. So I guess, I don't know if that answered your question, but I went in a tangent to kind of give some more insight. But yes and no.
No, well, I was going to say real quick, because we have a kind of like a follow-up question to that. To Shay, I think I'm pronouncing that right. She asked, how do you actually find that target market?
Nice. So you find that target market by understanding who they are first. So I'll give you an example as it relates to Just Checking In. So the Just Checking In is the green with the hug. Just Checking In is my mental health app. It's free for all, and it allows you to just simply check in with your loved ones. So initially it was launched during the pandemic as a way for us, for me and my mom and I to stay in touch with each other. And it was just as simple because I didn't talk to her every day. I have friends that I don't call every week, but I really wanted to make sure they were okay. So I said, you know what? I know how to build tech. Let me build an app that allows people to just check in. Now, when we initially launched, we were focused on the baby boomers because what we learned during the pandemic is the baby boomers were, I mean, their mortality rate was increasing. It was unfortunate, but they were dying off faster than any other group. And it was like, I mean, yeah, they're getting older, but specifically, what is the cause of this? And what we discovered was it was loneliness and isolation. So loneliness and isolation is one of the leading causes of many different elements that can really cause mortality, death, dementia, like you name it, loneliness and isolation. And because the senior citizen, the baby boom market specifically, they had to be isolated because their health risk was higher than those that were younger. They didn't have human touch. They really didn't have any interaction with people. So they were feeling lonely and isolated, and it was affecting them. So we really spent a lot of time focusing on targeting those people, figuring out exactly where they were, understanding their profile. And if you understand, a lot of them are watching late night TV. They're watching their stories during the day. They're at church. So we were going after a lot of those. They're at the VA. We were going after a lot of those areas to target this demographic. Then, as we kind of grew with the platform, and I really started studying kind of the loneliness epidemic that the U.S. Surgeon General kind of classified as a real epidemic, the loneliness epidemic. We identified that, oh, wait a minute, the biggest group that is affected by loneliness is the Gen Z, the youngers, the Gen Z. I was like, wait a minute, hold on. So the Gen Z that's who's really affected by this, because they're on their phones always. They're always on their phones. They're constantly being compared with social media by so many different things. So we was like, okay, wait a minute. So we built the app so it could be simple enough for baby boomers, but now we need to make it cool for Gen Z because that's who's really being affected by this. That's who's having a big problem with adapting. Our generation, I was fortunate enough to kind of like be in between. So we kind of ostracized mental health. It wasn't really discussed, but we're growing out of that. But their generation, that's all they talk about. Like they're comfortable with it. They're comfortable talking about their mental health. They're comfortable talking about their emotions. So they're more expressive as it relates to how they're feeling. So when we realized that, we said, okay, so where is this market? It's on social media. So then now we're doing a big TikTok campaign to get in front of the Gen Z. So when you understand who your target market is, you understand kind of like their customer persona, then you kind of understand where they spend their time. And when you want to market to a group, you want to figure out where are they spending their time the most, and that's where you want your business to be presented.
Those are some great insights as well. And as we are learning how to pivot our business, how to do our customer discoveries, and you brought up some great points also, Eric, as well. Those are things that we need to consider, especially when we were talking about using the tools that we want to use to reach out to our target audiences. And sometimes our target audiences are not just necessarily looking for value. And
Yes.
maybe we can provide other side services or either endorse other services like yours when we are talking about just checking in. So we don't have to be blatant with it as well. I mean, I would gladly put the Just Checking In app and logo on my site and not even just look for customers. You know what I'm saying? So I like that. Eric, I think we had some questions in the Q&A section, but I think we had some more also in the general chat as well.
Okay.
Get the ones that were in that Q&A. I think there were some that were still there.
Yeah, I think the Google Trends was the last one.
Okay.
The value of social media.
Please tell us about the value of social media influencers.
Yeah.
And it's another Yeah, there's another one other than that too, but go ahead.
Yes, listen to me. Listen to me. Social media influencers is a must in business. And let me tell you why. AI and the video, I mean, I'm sure you all have seen, like, and by the way, I'm not AI, I'm a real individual. I am human, I have breath. But in the near future, you all will not be able to tell the difference. Like, I could have prompted an AI person to just look like me and mimic me and then answer everybody's question. And you all in the future will not be able to tell the difference. So understand the landscape of how AI is changing how your business is being perceived. So what an influencer does, an influencer validates your business. An influencer is pretty much endorsing your business. So you can get a micro influencer. You don't have to get someone that has 100,000 followers or 1,000,000 followers. You can literally get someone that has 100 followers and say, hey, I'm going to give you this shirt for free, but I want you to just do something clever and send it to me with my brand. Like, be as creative as possible, or give them direction, leverage AI to come up with their campaign. Because what that does is it validates that someone other than you respect and understand your business. Leveraging influencers for all aspects of business, for reviews, for everything. Just, hey, so tell me about, you know, this shirt. So why did you buy this shirt? Well, I bought this shirt because, let's talk about this. I'm an influencer. I bought this shirt because I thought I wanted something to wear when I'm at the gym, because I always just want to have, you know, KSI when I'm out in public. I also want to have KSI when I'm somewhere else. Boom, post it. That's an influencer post. That's validating somebody's point. You're identifying who this is for. So somebody else that's like, oh, well, I go to the gym a lot, and I kind of have some old shirts that I need to replace. Oh, I guess I could wear my Amelia to the gym. I guess I should buy it. Where's the link? Boom. Influencers, it's a requirement now in business, because you need other people to validate your business, essentially. So I mean, just posting your image, posting the shirt, that's no longer sticky anymore. That no longer works. What you want to do is you want to post you creating the shirt. You want to post you designing the shirt. You want to post the experience of you actually coming up with how you're presenting it on your site, how you're presenting it. You're at a vendor place. You want to put a camera up, and you want to show people you setting up the booth. When people see that, they get to identify with you as an individual. People buy from people. So when they see that you're a real person and you're not a bot, you're not an AI, they're more likely to support your business over this. Is this really a business? Is this person licensed? Is this, like, all the questions that people have in their head about when they spend their money? They think about that every time they spend money with you, unless they know you. So you want to take your social media brand and you want to leverage it with influencers, and you want to merge it so people know that you are in fact the person responsible for this brand. That's the best way to increase your sales, like, immediately, is add an identity to your brand. Don't just post images and shirts and sneakers and those days are over with now, because people can just take your stuff, duplicate it, put a bot link on there, and then they can literally mask your entire website, mask your entire social media, create a page, and then people would think it's you, and then when they buy it from you, it will go to somebody else and they'll never get their product, and then they'll message you and complain about it and say, what's going on? But because you don't have a personal identity, the one thing they can't duplicate is you. When you're constantly showing up, when you're constantly being authentic to yourself, and you're saying, this is me, they can't duplicate that, because everybody's like, wait, that's not Eric. Eric doesn't do stuff like that. That sounds like he just changed his voice. That's not how he talks. That's not his cadence. That's not who he is. So you want to have an identity for your business on social media. So yes, that's very important that you all do that.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because we have one vendor, Ayana N Card, Need That Tea, and she does shorts like once a week or twice a week of her just doing something in her space where she's doing something with her inventory. And I remember one day, because she gets the notifications, Yana in card is live. So I'll click on it just to see what she's doing for the day. And one day she was folding over 3,000 shirts. I'm for real. She wasn't using a machine or anything. She had 3,000 shirts, and I want to say maybe she said 300, but I think it was 3,000 because she
Yeah.
was so my shirts, and it was soothing to see her fold the shirts, and then I learned how to fold a t-shirt too. So it was instructional to me, but I enjoy her videos, and I can touch with her and connect with her due to those little shorts that she does. And then she's always talking as she is doing whether she's pressing a shirt or designing a shirt or folding a shirt. But I love to see her folding shirt video.
See?
So it was like when you know the video when people are crushing up those bath bombs, and you see
Like the ASMR type of feeling. Yeah.
and she was just folding the shirt, and she did 3 folds. It was a perfect fold. I love that. And I think about it from time to time. And sometimes when I see another vendor shirt when I'm out, or either I'm at a store, if they're not folded like honest, I just keep on going.
Okay, so what you did was another good example of why you should be authentic. So what you just did was you had a genuine experience with a creator that did something that you liked. Someone else saw it, probably like, oh, I do that better. They're haters, right? Then you have you genuinely was like, I love this. And what you did is you shared that story with everybody, right? So what we don't realize as owners is the experience you give people, they share with other people. They may not be your buyer, but because you share that experience with somebody say, oh, what's her Instagram page? I love seeing people fold stuff. And they could see that, and then they talk about it to their friend, and they're like, oh my God, I want to buy one of her shirts. And then she just got a sale just because you enjoyed the experience that she provided to you, and she gave you something to share. That's why that authenticity really helps, because you don't know who's watching you, and you don't know who they're talking to about what they saw. So that was a really good example of why that's important.
Yes, and she's giving a story when she's doing it. She might be talking about her day, or what she's going to cook for dinner, or her past experiences, and she's just normal, and the flow is great. And so I love her videos, and I like videos like that, the content as well. Do we have any other questions or any other insights based on this segment? Please feel free to say something before we have Eric Usher close out and we have our next presenter come up. So if you have something to say.
I see 2 more from Hope. With virtual assistants, how do you create protected access to your website, email, social media links without putting your platform at risk? Okay, very, very good question, Hope. And it's okay, so normally I would answer this a very specific way by giving you like the protective mechanisms we do, the NDA that we make all the VAs sign, and kind of just the law on their country, where they just, if they do anything like that, they can get reported to the authorities, and the authorities are really strict. But so recently I heard another answer to this from my coach. And what he said was, if you have to, how do you say this? I don't want to ruin this. Essentially, he said, and it sounded kind of dark, and we were like, oh, he must didn't have his carbs today. But he says, your stuff is not that important for someone to steal as a business. And when you're scaling a business, there are people and processes in place that should be already in place in order for you to scale and grow, right? So in other words, if your business structure is not systemized, where at any moment you can change admin permission, where you now have access to it, then that means you have an operational problem, not a staff problem, right? So I'll just do when it comes to me, because it hasn't happened to me, but the worst thing that has happened to me is I got ghosted by one of my VAs a long time ago. And unfortunately, they had access to everything, but none of my stuff was compromised. But when I said they had access to everything, all the files was on their personal email. So that's a bigger risk than them accessing your stuff, because these are real human beings. And when you have a conversation with them, you let them know, listen, I have certain requirements of certain law. If you break the law, I am going to report you to your local authorities and you will be arrested. That is just the basic standards of all employee. If you hire somebody in the United States and it's your cousin and it's it's your family member, and they have access to all your passwords, and then they change it and lock you out, and they hold you ransom until you pay them, and it's like I can report you, but because they're family, you don't really do it. But if it's not family, you immediately do it. So I'm going to report you, and then you're going to go to jail. So that's the reality when it comes to hiring a virtual assistant. If they break the law, they are going to jail. They all have that understanding. It's in their agreement that they have a not NDA, a non-compete. But more importantly, when you have a business, you want to systemize everything where you have everything on paper. You have all your SOPs, your standing operating procedures for everything. For example, when accessing my website, I have a developer. I have OTP verifier on there. Every time he accesses my website, I get an email. I get a text message saying, hey, this is the code to access it. So then now I send him the code. So in order for him to access my backend, I have to send him the code. So now I'm aware that he's logging in, right? As it relates to your email. So this is the best thing about email. Your email is a public to-do list for your business. And it's not mine, I got that from Dan. Your email is a public to-do list for your business. And as long as you are locked into your email, you will not be able to buy back your time. My VA scans through all my emails, and I have an SOP on how to organize and classify the emails, and the ones that I need to respond to and the ones that are urgent. And if some things are urgent, then she contacts me on WhatsApp and say, hey, Eric, you need to respond to this email. This is my sample. Do you approve this message? And then I change it up, put it in ChatGPT, I send it to her, and then that person's responding to it as fast as possible. As far as social media is concerned, you have third-party tools that allow people to plug in to your social media, so you don't have to give them direct access. But what I tend to do whenever I hire a virtual assistant, I create a unique password specific to that virtual assistant, and I still have my master password, because my master password I use for other things, right? I have a specific password for my virtual assistant and whenever, for some reason, I no longer need their services, or, they didn't prove themselves over the course of the 30-day audit, where they didn't deliver like I expected, then I just change that password, and then they're out of it, because at the end of the day, I still have access. But the security risk is very small. You'll learn that it's not that big of a deal. What I've learned is people that typically are in the 7 to 8 figure range, for some reason, they have a lot more trust in their staff, because they understand that they have the capital to make sure that person is reprimanded if they violate their trust. But every VA that we hire, we put them through a 30-day audit to test for integrity. It's different things that I've learned how you can test people's integrity. But once that integrity is jeopardized, I fire them immediately. There's no questions. There's no why. There's no, you jeopardize our policy. You're gone. That's only happened to me twice. And I was able to catch it within the first 2 weeks, and then find the client another replacement. And now everything is amazing, because the person that I found was even better than the person that we had. So it's really about the security measures that you put in place. And I wouldn't be concerned about it, because every country has their own very specific laws. And a lot of times their laws are a lot stricter than ours.
Well, before we go to the next vendor, and you may have already hit on this answer, but it's from Tara Collins. It says, where do you find good virtual assistants? And then she has FiVerr.
Okay, so you have FiVerr, you have Upwork, you have Remote Latinos, which is a good platform. There's a lot of, so those are called marketplaces. So you have marketplaces where you're able to scour the internet, put your job description up there, and let everybody just apply, and then you individually interview every single person and then qualify them to see if they work for your business. That's how the marketplaces work. Then you have a lot of agencies like mine. So the benefit and cost of using a marketplace over an agency is really, I would say, is time. That's the only thing. I advocate for people to try Upwork, to try FiVerr, and try to go through the process of hiring your own VA before working with an agency, because a lot of times you'll have better perspective. Because what you'll learn is, if you haven't taken the time to properly vet certain cultures, certain skill sets, certain nuances within the virtual space, certain keywords that happens in the interview process that they say, that you just certain things that you, after doing it for so many years, that you're able to identify, then you may run into a situation where you're like, oh, this is the worst experience ever. This person sucks. They told me they were going to be the best. They used ChatGPT for their resume, so I thought they were amazing. And after a week of working with them, I'm doing more work than I should have. This has been a nightmare. Screw VAs. I'll never do this again, right? That's been a lot of people's experiences that come to our agency. Then you have the agency side where, and by the way, you can get lucky on FiVerr, Upwork if you find the right person, but you want to take your time. Take your time. Don't hire the first person that says, I can do your job. Take your time. Like, hire slow, fire fast. Also, when you're hiring from FiVerr, Upwork, and all those other platforms and marketplaces, you want to make sure that you give them a sample task, like work with them for 2 weeks before you work with them. Like I always say, it's important that you understand how they work before you fully hire them. That's why we do a 30-day audit, where it's like the first 30 days, we're just auditing whether you can actually deliver or not. So that's very important, that you want to have that in place. Now, from the agency side, a lot of times the agency has already done all the work. They already find somebody that's trained in your space. They provide their onboarding, their training. They have security measures in place. They get a custom email. They get a custom VoIP number. They have a contract with the NDA and a non-compete. They have all this stuff already in place. They handle the payroll. They handle their bonuses. They handle their holidays, their sick days, their vacation days, their time off, their Christmas bonuses. The agency handles all of that for you, where you're just paying a flat rate and the agency does all that for you. So it's all about kind of choosing the best model that works for you and the time that you have. But if you've never hired a VA and if you just have the capital and you don't have the time, I would suggest an agency route. If you don't have the capital, but you have the time, then do the marketplace, because the marketplace will allow you to kind of just test the experience of hiring a VA and practice delegating. I have some SOPs that we're kind of like creating specifically for people that just want to do it themselves. When that's done, you all can just go on justaskava.com. There's like a pop-up link that says get ebook, and just fill that information out, and I'll send it to you. Or go to my Instagram, the virtual assistant expert. It's like at the virtual assistant expert, and then DM me ebook. And when it's available, I'll be able to send you the link, and it's an open link. You don't have to register. So I'll be able to just send you the link. It's on Google Drive, and you can kind of read through it yourself, and it kind of shows you how to leverage your VA.
Great information, great insights as well, Eric. And this was Eric Lee Usher, from Profites, from Ask Ava to Just Checking In, to a multitude of entrepreneurial ventures and all. And we thank you for your expertise